Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, the biggest scandal since Watergate is brewing right now. Now, Obama's former national security advisor, Susan Rice, is physically squirming in her chair. She is under fire. This is a lady who has no problem lying, okay? You'll recall she took the fall for the Benghazi scandal. The Obama administration sent her out to all the Sunday talk shows where she just basically said that the Benghazi scandal was the result of a YouTube video. Big lie. She has no problem lying. She said, I didn't even get the information from the intelligence communities. They just gave me the talking points and I went out. So this is basically what she's done again. She has the audacity to say she knows nothing. I know nothing. Well, now she's actually physically squirming in her seat when she's being asked if she's willing to testify under oath that she knows nothing. And so we'll just roll the video of her talking to Andrea Mitchell. But, you know, these people are all part of the establishment there. She's squirming and stuttering. You know, Andrea, let's just see what's coming. I'm not going, just sit here, prejudge. But what I will say is that the investigations that are underway as to the Russian involvement in our electoral process is very important. They're very serious. Every American ought to have an interest in those investigations going wherever the evidence indicates they should. Right. The evidence that indicates over and over again that there was absolutely no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. Because you'll recall, again, that this incidental surveillance of Americans did not involve anyone from the Trump administration speaking to any Russian officials. It was these Russian officials who were talking about Trump and his people, and not even the transition team, because, again, they were being recorded before Trump was even the GOP nominee, which means they were listening to everyone, all of the nominees. So I'm sure the Russian officials were talking about Hillary Clinton as well. Why would they not be? But obviously that's not the big news that caused Susan Rice to unmask the names of these Americans. Now, in response to a question from NBC News, the reporter Andrea Mitchell, Susan Rice denied that she prepared any of these spreadsheets of these surveilled telephone calls involving Donald Trump and his aides. The Daily Caller actually reported on this, that she had ordered spreadsheets to be produced of these phone calls. And they are standing by their story. Their source is once again standing by the story. This is former U.S. Attorney Joe DeGenova. He's one of the Daily Caller sources, and he said in response to that, her denial would come as quite a surprise to the government officials who have reviewed dozens of those spreadsheets. So here again, she's saying, oh, I deny that, Andrea Mitchell. And of course, Andrea Mitchell, wife of Alan Greenspan, is, well in bed. She's going to take whatever story comes her way. And so DeGenova told the Daily Caller that what was produced by the intelligence community at the request of Ms. Rice were detailed spreadsheets of intercepted phone calls with unmasked Trump associates in perfectly legal conversations with individuals. So again, it involved no illegal activity, these phone conversations, but, the Russians, they hacked into our election. But this is very interesting. So the red state's actually saying, look, dear CNN, why do you have a former Obama appointee reporting on the Susan Rice revelation? Because again, we're seeing the establishment media sort of rally around this. They're trying to kill this story. And so this is their reporter, Jim Sciutto, and he tweets out, just in, the idea that Ambassador Rice improperly sought the identities of Americans is false. Person close to Rice tells me, oh, well, gee, let's do a little digging. I wonder who that is. The person close to Rice is likely somebody he knows. Before Sciutto worked at the White House, he worked at ABC alongside Ian Officer Cameron, who's married to Susan Rice. So, I wonder who his anonymous close source is there. I mean, obviously we don't have confirmation on that, but come on. So I'm sure he's totally non-biased there, Jim Sciutto. And then obviously too, we've got CNN going on a rampage. Don Lemon is basically announcing that he would ignore the news at all costs, saying that he is not even going to give it any And he thought it's unimportant. He's going to totally write it off. I mean, this is insane. We've got John McCain as well defending her as if he has any credibility left. So we had Mike Cernovich on the show today, who is actually being called a fake news investigative journalist. He forced this story out into the spotlight, and he has some details about why these establishment media and the deep state, why all they might be rallying around their people and why they might be afraid and have sat on this story.
So I've been waiting to break this story, Alex, but I couldn't break the story until I had a big scoop like Susan Rice. But the whole reason I broke the Susan Rice story is because I wanted to break the story, and I wanted to break the story on your show because we have the whole enchilada, the pedophile networks, of the deep state. So I'm going to break it down for you real quick. The reason Trump can't get his people hired is because the security clearances are being jammed up and not going through. The reason they're not going through is that the people who administer the polygraph in deep state are actually part of the pedophile ring, and they only want pedophiles in deep state because they're compromised and they can be blackmailed. So everything that we thought that Trump was making a mistake, he actually wasn't. The people who administer the polygraphs in deep state are all part of the pedophile network. They only want to hire people they can blackmail, and that is why a lot of General Flynn guys especially, they weren't able to get security clearances. So this goes way deeper. This is why they went after you. They went after me. My Wi-Fi literally is not working now. I don't even know what's going on once I tweeted out what
I've had CIA people say they can't come on anymore. Their whole lives have been ruined. I mean, they're coming after everybody. This pedophile thing is what they're afraid of.
Yeah, so this is the real thing. We now know that is how deep state is sabotaging Trump. Now, I talked to the person who had investigated it. I worked at my detailed source network, and he had told me that where this happens initially is in swingers clubs. And these swinger clubs are outside of Washington, D.C. And what happens is they find people who are into wife swapping and those other kind of activities, and then they drug them, roofie them essentially, and then children are brought in and they pose for pictures with children. Well, that's why we're breaking these deep state stories. That's why people are coming to you and coming to me, because they want them out, and they realize that the Susan Rice story, Bloomberg sat on it, the Washington Post sat on it. Nobody wanted to run it because they knew this is bigger than Watergate. By the way, Sean Hannity, Eric Prince, they were also wiretapped. They were spied on. You were spied on. I was spied on. Roger Stone was. Chuck Johnson was. Everybody was spied on.
Anybody who isn't a pedophile.
Yeah, we're all being spied on. That's why everybody has to be very careful.
They call us empowered individuals they don't control. Red-blooded Americans are all being spied on.
That's, again, how they compromise people in the media. Because Operation Mockingbird proved that the CIA controls a lot of media. A lot of media people, again, they aren't, it's kind of sad, Alex, but they aren't actually pedophiles themselves, but they have pictures of them with underage children, and that is how they're controlled by deep state too. So they are told what to write about by deep state, and that's why they're all freaking out, because a lot of people in media, they have been compromised. I mean, if you think about it, you know, some of these guys, maybe the 25-year-old man, they're at a club, they're partying, a pretty girl flirts up to them, they're thinking this is a good thing. Next thing you know, they wake up and all they see is a picture of them next to a naked child, and they're going to write what they're told to write. So that's why most of the media is controlled by deep state, is because most of the people who are in media, they're not actually into children, but they've been compromised and exposed by deep state, and they've been set up. And
that's right. Let's explain how this works. Let's explain how this works. I have this from other sources, and historically this has happened. It's been documented. Look what followers they are, not even wanting to be attacked by the media. Can you imagine when they learned they got tricked into having sex with a 16-year-old girl, or they got drugged and they brought in, you know, naked toddlers or whatever? Can you, or you know, had a toddler chained up and they're in the room with it? Can you imagine? They say, I'll do anything you ever want. And that's all about domination and control. And Zbigniew Brzezinski wrote in one of his books, I think it was The Technotronic Era, I've read a bunch of them, he admitted we control organized crime. That is the deep state. We control the pedophiles. He said we control it all because, oh, then we can control it and keep it small. What a lie. They're the ones that have proliferated it because it's their control system. And so that's why they're normalizing pedophilia in the news, normalizing it in the media, because they want to get more people into it so they have more compromised people.
Right, and all they did when they went after you and went after me, they don't understand how people like you and I think. They don't understand that I know that we are at war, and I will die. I will die for the truth. So I don't care if some stupid articles they write about me. Right now, the whole media, they think they're having...
All they do is make us bigger. They don't get it.
Thanks for joining us for this live broadcast. We'll see you here tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick. You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7,000 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities, and it's tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You've got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139.